to the Dawgs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
What's up, Browns fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. We got Kenny Mack filling in for Justin today. Justin's on vacation. He forgets that he's going on vacation a lot of times, and he'll commit to things for a while he's gone, and then text us the day before and be like, guys, I forgot that I'm going to be on vacation tomorrow. I told him today that we needed to teach him about the calendar app in his phone. But so we got Kenny here stepping in for us, coming to you guys virtually. Some busy schedules this week, but we're excited to bring you an episode here on week 2 of OTAs. Got a lot of good stuff to get into. Before we do, though, remember, if you want to get your thoughts and intros on the show, head to thedogspodcast.com, tap leave voicemail on the drop-down menu. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Make sure you tap the notification bell so you don't miss any of the content we're putting out. If you prefer to just listen to the show, you can find us on Apple, Spotify, and Google. Just search at the Dawgs Podcast on any of the major social media platforms, and you'll find us. And lastly, if you're looking for more Dawgs content, head to jointhedawgs.com, become an official Dogpack member on the Patreon page, sign up to play fantasy football with us. The signups are live now, where they're going to be going until sometime in August. Leagues are filling up fast, so you don't want to be left out on that. We have multiple redraft leagues, a couple dynasty leagues. If there's enough interest, I'm sure we would put together another dynasty league. There's been talks about that. So the fantasy leagues are always a super good time. So if you like fantasy football and you want to play with the Dawgs, you want to play with other Browns fans from it's all over the country. So it's a pretty cool league to be in. And I think we have 4 or 5 of them at least, just redraft leagues. It's jointhedawgs.com. You also get access to the private Discord. You get extra episodes at times. It's just a good time for everybody involved. So it helps out the show. I said at times because we used to always do an extra episode, and then we just started doing different things instead of extra episodes. But we spruce it up. We keep it lively in there. And you get Browns talk or comic book talk or movie talk literally 24/7. So that's jointhedawgs.com. If you want to help support the show, you want extra content, you want to play fantasy football with us, become a Dog Pack member. Excuse me. And then before we move on, again, I want to talk about the Browns Backer event going on in New Philadelphia, Ohio on June 21st from noon to 4, right? I don't have it up right in front of me. Noon to 5 at Wabash Lanes in New Philadelphia. Bowl with the Browns legends. There's going to be a bunch of former Browns players there, current Browns players. Sugar Dre Donovan is going to be there, boxing from champion from T County. It's going to be an awesome time. Get pictures with these guys, get autographs, bowl, eat. I think there's raffles and all kinds of cool stuff going on there. You don't want to miss it. The T County Browns backers are awesome. They have some of the best gear. They got cool t-shirts. Rich just designed this one. He hooked us up this year. It's really awesome. It's a nice blend. So the T County Browns backers have really taken off. Kenny's been helping them a ton, to kind of really go from a new club to really become a great up and coming club. So, you don't want to miss that event. It's going to be a good time. Josh and Justin are going to be there unless Justin's on another vacation he forgot about. They're going to be podcasting from that event. So it's going to be a great time. So again, that's June 21st, Saturday, June 21st, Wabash Lanes in New Philadelphia from noon to 5. Come hang out with the T County Browns backers, a couple of the Dogs, and a bunch of former and current Browns players. It's going to be a good time. So diving into the episode now, the first thing I guess we want to talk about, it's depressing news. Chubb officially signs with the Houston Texans. No longer a Cleveland Brown. No longer a chance to be a Cleveland Brown. I know a lot of Browns fans were holding on hope that, the longer he sat there, the more hope it was giving them that he was going to re-sign with the Browns. But officially a Houston Texan now teams up with another former AFC North running back in Joe Mixon. They have if Chubb gets back to not going to be a Cleveland Brown. Kenny, let's just start with you.
Yeah, you know what I had to do? I run the Browns backers up here in Ottawa. I just wrote a thank you note, man. And I basically put it, he's starting a new chapter with the Texans. And I just want to take a moment to celebrate what it meant to Clevelanders and to us here in Ottawa. We were very proud that he was part of the family. Chubb was just a phenomenal running back. He was the heartbeat of the team. He was humble, relentless, and he was all about work. When it was a quiet 100-yard game or whether it was a thunderous touchdown run that brought us to our feet, he gave it every single week. And he was like Joe Thomas, man, just always put the lunch bucket hat on. And from the debut in 2018 to the unforgettable playoff win against Pittsburgh, Nick made it known to be what's a Brown. He had pride, he had hope, he gave us hope, and that's something to believe in, man. So, Nick Chubb, thanks. I appreciate you. We appreciate the bruising runs, and we wish you had you back here, man. I'm so disappointed that you're not a Cleveland Brown anymore, but once a Brown in my heart, buddy, you're always a Brown.
Let me, so I think we jumped a little out of order. I just want to play this voicemail from Ben real quick about
Hey guys,
Chubb.
how's it going? I just wanted to get your thoughts on it depends if you're listening to this, but the possible Nick Chubb rumors that he's going to the Texans, or like I said, depending on when you're listening, he might be going elsewhere. I'm not too sure. But like, if he does leave, I just wanted to get your thoughts on what you think this will have like impact wise on the squad. Because personally, I think because of all the injuries he had leading up to him leaving, which is like basically one massive injury each season, I think it's going to be easier to accept him leaving. You know, and I think with the rookies that we've drafted, I think we've compensated for him really well. That's just my personal opinion. I'm obviously going to miss him. He's a legend, and you know, he balled out for the Browns every time he stepped on the field. But I just think it'll be easier seeing him leave because of the rookies that we've drafted and the injuries leading up to him. To be honest, I think it'll be trickier. I think it was trickier, watching Baker Mayfield leave than Nick Chubb. But I just wanted to get you guys' thoughts on this as to what you think and what impact it'll have on the squad.
Yeah, thanks, Ben, for the voicemail. See, he's right. I agree with him. You know, Nick Chubb, we haven't seen a full healthy season out of Nick Chubb since 2022. You know, he got hurt the second game of 23, so it's pretty much the whole season. Last year, he missed however many games to start the season. Then when he came back, he wasn't really himself. And so it is a little different than if he had just been out there putting up, 1,200 yards last year and 12 touchdowns, and then we let him go and didn't re-sign him or anything. But I'm not saying it eases the pain. I mean, when I saw him out there on video clips today, practicing with the Houston Texans and everything, it definitely made me a little nauseous to see him in a different jersey and a different number. I didn't like it, but it is what it is. And he's right. We drafted some very good rookies. And I think I said this the other day on a quick clip, but resetting the age market within your own running back room is never a bad idea, especially whenever your other option was leaning on it. I hate, he's a great player, but he's 29 years old. He's going to be 30. Like, we got a 21-year-old and a 20-year-old, two super young guys, highly productive out of college. I think that the Browns are moving the right direction, getting back to the run game with these guys.
I agree. It's one of those things where, as like your GM, you don't want them making emotional fan-like decisions, and bringing Nick Chubb back would have been an emotional fan decision. That's, in a way, that's what we last year was. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. We gave him the chance to come back off the terrible injury last year. You're just not going to do it 2 years in a row, especially when you just drafted two young running backs, dynamic running backs. Like, you're not going to take the ball out of their hands. And then why do you want Nick Chubb to be on this team to be the third running back? You know what I mean? It's just, to me, it was the right thing to do for Nick Chubb, to not insult him with like a league minimum offer, to not say you're going to come back here and get the ball 3 times a game. Like, give him a chance to go actually play and compete. And like Ben said, it sucks, obviously, but it's easier to cope with because of all the time he's missed the last 2 seasons. Like you said, Josh, he's not coming off a 1,500-yard, 12 touchdown season, and we were just too cheap to resign him. We're not the Cincinnati Bengals. It's, you know what I mean? Like, and I saw a lot of people online talking about how they hate Andrew Berry for not bringing him back and all this stuff. And it's just like, Andrew Berry did the right thing for the Browns, and he did the right thing for Nick Chubb. Like, let Nick Chubb go be a guy who can get the ball. He's not going to get the ball here. It's just, so I don't know. It obviously sucks, and I'm hoping Nick Chubb is great in every single game he plays, unless we happen to play them. And I hope he doesn't have any more injuries, and I hope he bounces back and he's awesome, and he has a great, a couple more years of his career. But I'm a Browns fan. As much as I love Nick Chubb, I'm a fan of the Browns before I'm a fan of any one player on the team. And what was right for the Browns was to draft the running backs and go younger. And that's That's just the reality of the business we're in.
Right. And, if you're a fan of Nick Chubb, it's selfish to want him to come back to Cleveland, like you said, to be the RB3. You know that Judkins is going to dominate the touches. You know that they have a role in mind for Samson. They just had Jerome Ford take the pay cut. Like, there's not much left for anybody else so to have him, if he signed back here, it would be on a very minimal role with the offense. So if you're truly a fan of Nick Chubb, it does suck to watch him go somewhere else, like I said, and wear a different jersey. But you want him to go have that opportunity to compete, like you said, revitalize his career. Who knows? Maybe he gets everything back on track, avoids injuries, avoids the downfall at the age cliff and all that stuff for the next couple of years, and has a great career. That would be awesome, but it was not going to happen here.
No, and it's not like we traded him to purgatory or something. He got to sign with a playoff team that has C.J. Stroud at quarterback and another running back in the backfield to split some carries to hopefully help keep them both. Like, he's in a good situation. So like you said, if you're a fan of Nick Chubb, Nick Chubb was done right by in the fact that he didn't have to take some league minimum deal. Like, he didn't get paid big money, but he didn't just sign for, $900,000, or whatever the league minimum is. I think and he has a chance to be a feature back.
Yeah, we should just say real quick, for anybody who didn't see the numbers, it was a $2.5 million contract, 1-year deal with incentives that could get him up to $5 million this year.
Yeah, and so you guys kind of hit the nail on the head too with Barry. I mean, he put Amari Cooper in a good spot. He put Za'Darius in a good spot. A lot of times, even with Baker Mayfield, he put him in a spot where he could have started, right? And
he did start,
and he did start, right? And Nick's in the same spot, like coming over here, like you said. There's not going to be a lot of touches, and hopefully he thrives. I'm still going to miss him. Like you said, it's tough to see him in another uniform and another number. And like I said, once a Brown, always a Brown. He'll be in our ring of honor, man.
Oh, for
the
sure.
only thing, if anything, it just makes me more pissed off at Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Yes,
he's the real villain in this story. You know what I mean? Like, I never thought watching that game that night was going to be like the last time I saw real Nick Chubb play for the Browns. It just like, screw Minkah Fitzpatrick, you know what I mean? And
Minkah Fitzpatrick's he's a crap day.
Yeah, he just keeps doing it. And so, if anything, that's who I'm mad at today. It's not the Browns or Nick Chubb or anything. I'm just reminded of how much I hate Minkah Fitzpatrick. So we'll move on here and then talk about guys who are currently on the team. Zach Jackson said on X, or just reporting, that the Browns could trade Greg Newsome to Green Bay for one of their veteran wide receivers. We've talked ad nauseum, that's a big word for me, about the need for wide receiver depth on this team, because behind Jerry Jeudy, it's bleak. I mean, if Jerry Jeudy goes down, holy hell, it's slim pickings out there right now. I know we're maybe seeing some flashes of Jamari Thrash in these OTAs, but man, he left a lot to be desired last year. Obviously, a lot of people on the offense did. Cedric Tillman is yet to stay healthy for any kind of long stretch of a season, even going back to college now. It's bleak behind.
And he's already hurt.
So what do you guys think? I know we've kind of been on the keep Greg Newsome train. We think he's a good player, like a very solid corner, and 2, we just think he brings a lot of energy, and he's kind of an emotional vocal leader for the defense, and we never questioned Greg Newsome's effort or want to for the Cleveland Browns. But also last year, the deal, if you have to give up somebody you like to get somebody you like in this league, nobody's just going to, unless you can swindle the Dallas Cowboys, you're not getting a great player for nothing back. So would you guys trade Greg Newsome for a wide receiver on the Packers? And if so, which one would you have your eye on?
Well, it depends on which ones are available. Obviously, they just drafted Matthew Golden in the first round and Savion Williams. I think he was a 3rd-round pick for them this year. So they've got 2 rookies in there. But is Jaden Reed available? I know he's their 3rd-year guy. They've got, Romeo Doubs, I think, and Christian Watson are their 4th-year guys, and then Dontavian Wicks and Jaden Reed are their 3rd-year guys. So for me, it would probably be out of those 4, Wicks, Doubs, Watson, and Reed. obviously my preference would be Jaden Reed. I think that he could come in here and operate out of the slot. Plus, we'd have him for 2 seasons. You know, if you trade for one of the fourth-year guys, you're going to have to make a decision. Are we extending them? Otherwise, you know, are we extending Greg Newsome? Maybe, maybe not. But then you're just swapping a guy for a 1-year rental at a, you know, a wide receiver position that I don't think either of those guys are going to be as impactful as Greg Newsome would be on the defense. But if you can get Jaden Reed, and Dontavian Wicks is somewhat interesting to me. I know he's shown some flashes. He's also had some issues with drops and things like that. So for me, it'd be probably one of the 3-year guys. I don't really want anything to do with Christian Watson. We already have, like you said, Cedric Tillman, who can't stay healthy. Christian Watson's never healthy, and he never will be. You just can't, until I see it, I'll never believe that he'll ever have a healthy season.
He's such a boomer bust guy too. Like that guy will go out and put up 150 yards and look like wide receiver 1 and then just disappear for 2 games and you don't see him, and then get hurt in the 3rd game and then come back 2 games later and just blow up. And it's just like, you just never know what you're getting out of him.
Yeah, I think with I don't get the whole wanting to trade Newsome. Like, he seems to be the heartbeat of the defense, and I don't know if I would, but I mean, if I had a gun to my head and keep going on with talking about this take, I would probably go with Jaden Reed as well, because I liked him last year, and he would be, to me, a high volume receiver. He could be a top tier returner for us, and he would be that intermediate boost in the slot that we're looking for. So with that dual threat with the return game, I think you get your maximum value with him. Do I think he's an ascending player and do they want to trade him? Probably not. I think maybe Romeo Doubs would be a consistent, reliable possession receiver for us. And I think he'd be the most likely they'd want to trade. Christian Watson, I have the same view as you. I just don't think he's going to stay healthy. I think you could swap him out for Coleman and they'd be the same thing almost. So why do you want to trade or have the same thing that you're already having a problem with?
This episode is sponsored by Omaha Steaks. Browns fans, this is it, the final push. It is Father's Day this week, and make sure you get the dads in your life the best steak experience from Omaha Steaks. Head to omahasteaks.com right now. Get one of their Father's Day packages for the dads in your life, and when you check out, use promo code BARK, B-A-R-K, for $35 off your order. Tried and true, proven, I can vouch. Omaha Steaks as Father's Day gifts always goes over well. It's what I do every single year, and I'll be doing it again this year as well. So if you've waited till the last minute to shop, forget about it. Order Omaha Steaks. This Father's Day, give Dad the world's best steak experience with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for guaranteed perfect gifts that deliver legendary quality, and for an extra $35 off, use promo code BARK, B-A-R-K, at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com and an extra $35 off with promo code BARK at checkout. See site for details.
Since 1989, Mount Hope Fence has set the standard in outdoor living. From decks and railings to fences and patios, we've got you covered. Our lineup features top brands like TimberTech, Alumagard, Preferred Railing, and Unilock, along with our own premium Duralux vinyl products. For over 30 years, we've partnered with contractors ensuring reliable job site delivery. Discover quality and excellence in all things outdoors with Mount Hope Fence.
No, I pretty much agree with everything you guys are saying. It's Jaden Reed's clear number 1 choice, in my opinion. But I like that you mentioned Romeo Doubs. To me, he's like a sneaky option that I think that the Packers would maybe consider parting. Pretty much ever since he broke on the scene, he's been pretty consistent, been pretty good. He would be the wide receiver 2 on our team. Unless Tillman can stay healthy for a long stretch and continue to ascend, I think Romeo Doubs would clearly be the number 2 wide receiver on our team. So can you trade a guy who's on the 5th year and you don't know if you're going to extend for a guy who's going to be the number 2 option on your team? Maybe that's something that's worth looking into. But I think if they pick up the phone, they called you and they said, "We'll give you Jaden Reed for Greg Newsome," I wouldn't be able to say yes fast enough. Probably, I think he's got a ton of upside. But then Doubs would probably be second. The Watson it just doesn't make sense to me to trade for the guy he just can't stay healthy at all.
Yeah. To what Kenny was saying real quick, though, I don't think that I wouldn't necessarily say people want to trade Greg Newsome. Excuse me. I think that, you look at the contract, like you said, 5th year, and if the Browns don't plan to extend him, which it may or may not make sense to extend him, we've got Martin Emerson, who, if he gets back to the way he played in 2023 and before that, he's going to be a guy we're probably going to be looking to extend. You still got Denzel Ward on a big contract, and it might be time to roll the dice again on a first, second round rookie at cornerback rather than extending Greg Newsome. So that's why I think, and he's probably our most tradable piece because of that. And I think he's attractive to another team who's like Green Bay doesn't have cornerbacks. I saw a clip today. They said their cornerback room is so thin. They've got their other wide receiver, Bo Melton, running cornerback drills against the receivers to give them a look because they just don't have enough cornerbacks on the roster.
Didn't they just release Jair?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. Why? They just didn't want to pay him or what?
Yeah, they couldn't come to an extension agreement or something like that. So they let Jair Alexander go.
I mean, if we trade
them for Jaden Reed and then just go sign Jair Alexander to take his spot, I guess. But no, it'll be interesting to see. I just can't imagine that the Browns are going to enter the season with the current wide receiver core as is.
No.
Yeah. But then part of me also says, we've said this about multiple position groups in the Andrew Berry tenure. It's been linebacker. We're like, there's no way we're entering the season with this linebacker core.
Defensive line years ago.
Yes, we entered the season with a bad linebacker core. Like you just said, no way we're going into the season with this defensive line. There we were at the start of the season with that defensive line. So it's just going to be another one of those things where it's like, there's no way we're entering the season with this wide receiver core. And then we're sitting there week 1. This is our wide receiver core. I'm getting the sense like we're trying to speak it into existence. Like, oh, Andrew Berry's got to be working on something. He's gearing up for laser eyes. He's going to be doing it. And then we're just going to not do it. And we're all be disappointed. So I'm trying to temper expectations, but I don't think it would be a good idea to go into the season with your wide receiver core as is right now. You're putting a lot on Tillman to stay healthy. You're putting a lot on Harold Fannin to figure it out real fast, and Njoku to stay healthy the whole year. Somebody else to be able to block so Njoku can run more routes. Like it's just you're putting a lot on some of these guys that you haven't necessarily been able to depend on all the time for one reason or another. So I hope they take this month off or whatever before training camp starts to add another good receiver to the room who's here then for training camp to be ready for the season. So we'll see. But talking about camps, we're currently in minicamp, second week. The big thing every day out of minicamp is QB trackers. I don't know. Has any other team?
I've never heard of this thing.
We had a team crazy talk put out passing stats from their OTAs like the Browns media is doing. It's wild. We were texting about it earlier and I was like, I don't put a ton of stock into it because you don't even know. First of all, they're just combining all the stats. So like 11 on 11 is way different than 7 on 7 and it's way different than just passing drills. They're putting all these into it.
Right.
There's no context to any of it, who anybody's going against. It's kind of crazy. I did text when we were talking earlier, though, the one thing that kind of scares me, I won't say it scares me, but it catches my eye every time is they'll put out these stat trackers, these past stat trackers for training camp. And it's always like Joe Flacco, 6 of 7, Kenny Pickett, 13 of 19, Shedeur Sanders, 7 of 8, Dillon Gabriel, 10 of 22. And I'm like, why? You know what I mean? I'm like, he's like consistently in like the 50 to 55% completion percentage on when I see these charts. And I'm like, man, if we're only completing 50% of passes in drills and 7-on-7s and stuff, what are we going to do in full speed games against ones? Like, and then I get like other people's stats are inflated because, Shedeur's going up against 2s and 3s and some of this stuff, but it doesn't. I'm not like my curiosity when we drafted Gabriel is quickly fading into, I just don't see it. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah. And then the other thing too, with, who are these guys going against is also who are they throwing to? Now, obviously we just talked about wide receivers. We have Jerry Jeudy, who is the wide receiver 1. He's obviously running with the first team. And after that, There's nobody there. Cedric Tillman, sidelined with a minor injury. Mike Woods, sidelined with a minor injury. David Bell, still sidelined recovering from his hip surgery. So it's Judy. Now Diontae Johnson's finally back. He wasn't there, the last 2 weeks. Now he's there. And after that, it's just Jamari Thrash and a bunch of UDFAs. The thing is, the highlight clips of Shedeur making his passes, the ball placement, he's putting it where UDFA guys who aren't going to be on a practice squad in September can make the play. That's what's impressive to me.
Yes, every video I see, and it's not just from one person. Pretty much the only person who doesn't think that Shedeur Sanders has been arguably the best quarterback at camp for us is Tony Grossi. Everybody else
he's even changing his tune though.
Is saying that Shedeur is been, it's Flacco and Shedeur and Shedeur's just creeping up every single time. At some point he's going to get 11 on, he's got to get first team 11 on 11 reps. I know we're only in minicamp. It's only been 6 practices or whatever it's been, but to at least everything I've seen and everything that's being reported, he's been impressive enough that to me, he's earned the right to at least have some goes at the ones to see how he can compete.
Well, if you combine all their stats from all 3 trackers that came out, Joe Flacco's 10 for 17. He's 58.8%. He's got 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Kenny Pickett is 20 for 34. He's 58%, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. And again, who knows how much red zone these guys have had, but just listen to the numbers. Dillon Gabriel, there's a combined 143 attempts. He's got 53 of them, and he's only completed 27 passes for 50.9%. And then Shedeur setting the bar, 27 for 39, 69.2%. And it has to go with what you're saying about that ball placement. We've said all along that guy's elite as far as ball placement is concerned. When he was at Colorado, and we just touched on this 2-3 days ago, he couldn't step into his passes. There's a reason why he had to fade back and back and back. Guys he wasn't getting enough time from his offensive line. Guys were running comeback drills, and that takes time to get the ball to, or he's going to throw it long and he's got to go way back, So yeah, did he take some unnecessary sacks? He did, but you can see what happens if he has time to step into a pass and have some time. Now what he has to do, he's got to go to the next level. The next level is Myles Garrett coming at you. The next level is TJ Watt coming at you. And then you got to step in and still try and make those. And that's going to be what defines him.
The interesting takeaway I had from today was that Joe Flacco had 0 team reps. And is it a sign he's not in the plans, or is it a sign he's a lock and they need to evaluate the others? For me, he's a lock. I feel like it's pretty much Joe Flacco's penciled in day 1 starter. And the rest of this is just to see, you're just evaluating your other quarterbacks, in my opinion. I would look for Joe Flacco to be getting the number 1 reps come training camp, basically exclusively.
Yeah, because training camp is when you're actually prepping and getting ready for the season. So that's when it's hey, if you're penciled in as the starter week 1, it's time to start getting ready. We got to fine tune this thing. We got a month or so. Preseason's coming up, and then boom, it's football time. So yeah, I think the 0 reps for Joe Flacco, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, okay. They took the very first day of these minicamp sessions and said, we have got to evaluate these other 3, because we've been talking about it. I've been saying it for a couple of weeks now. Cannot go into training camp with these 4 quarterbacks on the roster. It's just not going to work out. There's not enough legitimate reps to get these guys anything in training camp. So somebody's going to be the odd man out, and I think they got the 3 guys that they're trying to decide between now.
Yeah, so Joe Flacco's backseat was basically confirmed by several sources, and by interview with Stefanski, he just confirmed it was intentional. He's saying the goal was to evaluate the guys as much as we can. By that, he meant the guys that were under 26 years old, or 27, I guess, since Kenny Pickett just had his birthday.
Yeah, so how do you see the rest of these 3 shaking out in terms of trade? Who's going to be the odd man out, I guess, because I personally think we've talked about this. I think Flacco week 1. And unless the season's going much better than we're all expecting, I think Shedeur will be starting at some point. But who's going to be in that number 3 role? Is it going to be Pickett? Is it going to be Dillon Gabriel? What do you guys think?
For me, it makes more sense to have Gabriel because he's on the rookie contract. And I posted this earlier. I said there's unknown upside with him. You haven't seen it, so you don't know what you have there, but they spent so much time with him. They invested a lot into him, and he's on that rookie deal. You kind of know, like, if Kenny Pickett's your quarterback 3, well, he's not going to be on the roster next year probably. You're not going to put any big money into your quarterback 3. So I don't know if it makes a whole lot of sense, but it might just come down to who demands more on the trade market if that's the way the Browns are going.
That's exactly what I was going to like. I think Kenny Pickett's going to get you more on the trade market. I think you could put Dillon Gabriel on the trade block right now, and I don't know if you'd get an offer.
Other than maybe Miami, which was just speculated about that they were interested in him in the draft. We talked about that, why the Browns took him at 94, and then as soon as they took him, 4 picks later, the Dolphins traded that pick at 98 to the Raiders. So I think they may have been gunning for him, or at least the Browns thought they were.
Well, there's a couple. Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say, if you put him on the block, you're not getting a 3rd.
No.
You know what I mean? Like you're getting a 6th or a 7th, right, probably. So, and you're not just going to toss away your 3rd round draft pick that quickly, I would assume. So to me, I think Kenny Pickett's still in play as like a trade target for the Saints, depending on how their quarterback situation's looking with Rattler and Tyler Shuck down there in their mini camps and stuff like that. So, but at least everything I'm seeing, I think Shedeur is clearly, at least I'm starting to really feel like I was already high on him, and nothing has happened to make me go down at all. If anything, I'm higher than I was before, and I was already high on him.
Yeah, I mean, him and Flacco are just a perfect fit for Stefanski's offense and what Tommy Rees can help us out with. I just kind of see the 4 quarterbacks in 2 tiers. You have Flacco and Shedeur, which can kind of do the same thing, can run the same offense. And then you have Kenny and you have Dillon, which are guys that are super athletic, run an RPO, and you can get them to do kind of off-script plays, right? But that being said, I don't really see how they fit in our offense. It's great to have that. And, it's great to have those athletic guys. But if the best they can do is just intermediate throws, we want to push the ball with deep passes. That's what Tommy Rees wants, the ball deep down the field. So what are we really doing with those guys? And in my head, I'm kind of just scratching my head going, well, what did we really get Dillon and Gabriel for? Because I need a free safety on this team. I'd like a couple more receivers on this team. I might even like a 3rd tight end on this team because we want to use multiple tight end sets. So what are we doing? Maybe we can get that by trading Kenny, but I'm not 100% sure.
No, I saw something and I apologize. I forget who posted on X today, but they said, for everybody who's out there saying, oh, the Browns need to trade Shedeur or he's the one that they're going to trade, go to the Browns Pro Shop, the Browns team store, and just go look at their merchandise, look at their t-shirts. First of all, the only jerseys you can buy right now are Shedeur Sanders, maybe Quinshawn, and Myles Garrett. That's like it. Okay. And then you go to the t-shirts, it's Shedeur Sanders jersey shirts, and then it's Shedeur Sanders graphic player t-shirt, and then there's like 3 different variations of those. I don't see those made for anybody else. Shedeur Sanders is on this team.
Yes. And it's, I guess then it begs the question for me is, did we luck out? Because
I think we might have.
Because the kind of the talk, and I was sneaky intrigued by Dillon Gabriel pick, but there's just so much of the talk has been like, it doesn't look like an NFL quarterback. Like that's what a lot of the talk is coming out of these sessions. And it's like, we took this guy in the 3rd because we were so high on him. And if we didn't get lucky that all these other teams were just still passing on Shedeur and he just kept dropping to the point where we were able to trade up and grab him in the 5th, we'd be sitting here going potentially, and I'm not saying any of them are or are not the answer right now because it's been, 6 practices, but right. At least by the way things are looking and what we're hearing from reports and seeing videos, we could be sitting here like we don't have an answer. And it's like we lucked into grabbing a guy in the 5th just because other people were passing on him that might end up being the future. And it's like, it's almost like a Trey Lance Brock Purdy situation. Obviously, that was more stark because Trey Lance went 3 and Purdy went literally dead last in the draft. But it kind of has that same feel. Like, yeah, Dillon Gabriel was taken higher than Shedeur, but it's once you watch him play, it's just like that. At this point, that doesn't matter, and this guy's just clearly better than the other guy.
There were 2 throws today on the highlights, and Cameron Justice on X puts out some great compilation videos that she takes during, and I love watching her stuff. Shedeur Sanders, he opened up the team drills. His first throw, I believe it was that deep pass down the, to the end zone for Gage Larvadane and for a touchdown. I mean, perfect placement. The guy burnt his guy, and Shedeur put it way out in front of him, and he walks right in for a touchdown. And then the next one was the pass to Diontae Johnson on a comeback, like a curl route. And it was one of those where he fit it in like the triangle window of defenders. You have to put the ball in the perfect spot or it's getting batted down or popped up or picked. And I mean, he fit it right into Johnson. And it was like, that's an NFL throw. 2 of the, I mean, there's a bunch of clips out there, obviously, but those 2, I was like, those are NFL throws right there.
He just throws with great anticipation, and you don't have to have Josh Allen's arm if you can throw with great anticipation and the ball's out on time. You know what I mean? So, I didn't mean to turn this into like a Shedeur glazing episode, and I know that's what people are going to like. There's the people who if we put out an episode that was Shedeur in the headline, they won't even watch it and they'll just comment about how we don't deserve him and how we're bashing him, even if the episode is about how much we like Shedeur. And then there's the people who, if you say anything good about Shedeur, it's you're glazing him. He's the 5th round pick. He's not even going to make the team. It's just like, there's no middle ground for people. Like, you just kind of talk about the guy. You have to either be obsessed with him or you have to hate him. There's no middle ground. How about I'm just excited for him because he looks good. And what I've almost been even more impressed with on the field is off the field, just the way it seems like he's preparing. Every time he steps up to the microphone, like today they asked him, I don't know 100% know what the question was because it was kind of quiet, but his answer was like, the way I look at it is I have time, and when it's my time to play, then that's when I'll get to play. But for now, I have time to sit and learn from the vets. He's just coming. Everything we're seeing from him in front of the microphone since he's been in Cleveland is such a stark contrast to literally every single media report about him in the pre-draft process, to the point where it's like, who's blowing smoke where? You know what I mean? Like, there's no way this is the same guy that supposedly just tanked interviews and was just so disrespectful. Oh, we haven't seen any of that since he's been here. It's model citizen, perfect behavior, great in front of the mic. I'll get to play when I get to play. For now, I'm just lucky I get to learn from. I mean, like, it's complete opposite of everything we've heard about him during the pre-draft process.
What I love is he was completely coached up for the media. Like, he does so well before and after the combine. I don't know. He just had a bad day against the Giants. Like, they seem to be the biggest culprit of like why he was poor. Sure, we've heard rumblings from like other teams, but they haven't been as pronounced as, say, the Giants. So I don't know what he did that day, but I don't know if he deserved that tumble based on what we're getting so far between the talent, the ability to lead people, and the ability to even just to be interviewed. Like, I just think the guy's got a lot of charisma, and I know some guys commented that they think I'm crazy to like think he's got charisma and that'll do anything. It goes a ton in the huddle. Guys will follow him. Guys will follow him. I think that'll go a long way.
This episode is brought to you by Bodden Sports. Browns fans, it's summertime. Time to get outside and take advantage of the beautiful weather and play some backyard games. Head over to boddensports.com, BADEN sports.com/dogs, and check out all their summertime gear. And for 10% off your entire order, just use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out. Now, if you guys love pickleball, Bodden Sports has all the gear you need, including a variety of paddles, balls, and complete pickleball sets with a pack and go carry case so you can play in the backyard or take it on vacation to play with the entire family. Bodden Sports also has volleyball and badminton sets, croquet, horseshoes, bocce, and even Vikings chess. And no summer break is complete without some good old-fashioned wiffle ball. Plus, Bodden has all kinds of different basketballs with special outer layers that are designed specifically for whatever surface you'll be playing on. So don't waste 1 second this summer. Head to boddensports.com/dogs to get the backyard outdoor gaming gear that your family needs and get 10% off your entire order with promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out. That's boddensports.com/dogs. This episode is sponsored by Southern New Hampshire University. Browns fans, I can't tell you guys how many people I've known over the years who have missed out on job opportunities simply because they don't have the right degree or even have a degree at all. I mean, these are people who otherwise would have been perfect for the position they wanted, but they got turned away simply because of educational requirements. If you've ever felt stuck in a job you didn't enjoy, or you felt unqualified or unable to advance your career due to your lack of education or experience, heck, maybe you even have a degree, but now you feel like you chose the wrong major, Southern New Hampshire University could be the answer for you. Go to snhu.edu/bark, B-A-R-K, to learn how you can get started today. SNHU has programs in psychology, cybersecurity, computer science, sports management, game development, data analytics, and finance. SNHU is one of the largest online accredited universities in the United States, and their programs are radically affordable. Their online tuition rates are some of the lowest in the nation. And you might even be eligible for financial aid or have prior college credits that could fast track your degree at SNHU. And because networking is everything, your courses are taught by faculty with real world experience. So you'll have opportunities to connect with people inside the industry. And then when you graduate, SNHU will still be there to help you as you begin your job search. So if you're ready for something new, head over to snhu.edu/bark and learn how you can get started working toward your new career today. I'm glad
Greg
you said
Newsome
that.
already talked about it.
That's what I was going to, I had his quote pulled up. Yep.
Yeah, go ahead, Josh. If you got it pulled up, go ahead.
Yeah, he was on NFL Network and they asked him about Shedeur, and Greg Newsome said he's been amazing, a sponge. It's just crazy a guy this young with this much notoriety can handle media and things like that. And then he went on to say, I think his dad has really taught him how to be that guy in the spotlight and understand what comes with it. And what you're saying, Kenny, like the team just really seems to be gravitating toward him. Everybody's pumped about him. You see the clips of him out there with Joe Flacco, like powing around, having a good time. Then there's the other clips that, Mary Kay was showing where Joe Flacco was instructing Shedeur, like showing him, hey, when you drop back, turn, look this way. Or, I don't know exactly what they're saying, but you can tell by their, their body motion, body language, and Shedeur's taking it all in. I love to see that. It's like he's super coachable.
Well, he's like the reason. He's the reason why we're saying that training camp is better this year. It must be the energy that he's bringing to this team. It's overall like, I know they're building for something. I know you're starting new, but there's something about that guy that's making even the pundits, even Tony Grossi sometimes says, "Hey, that kid's got something."
I couldn't be more excited for the potential, and I almost feel bad just like catapulting him above Dillon Gabriel just because I think Dillon Gabriel seems like a really nice kid. I just think it's becoming like more and more clear that they're different levels of quarterback. People like to talk about how Dillon Gabriel played against so much better competition. He also played with much better talent around him. You know what I mean? Like if you would have put Shedeur on Oregon, he would have excelled. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I'm excited for the future. And man, if he can be the guy, now all of a sudden the future of this team looks so much brighter. You got a quarterback on a rookie contract who could be the future. You have 2 first-round draft picks now next year that could be potentially top 10, top 15, and worst case scenario probably like maybe Caleb Downs is sitting on this team next year. It's just like if he can be that guy, it's just like, man, the window for this team just opens back up a lot faster. And all of a sudden now you got 2 young running backs. You got a quarterback on a rookie deal. You got two first-round draft picks. It's exciting to think about. And you talked about his pass to Diontae Johnson, so I kind of wanted to talk about Diontae Johnson. I know we're circling back to the wide receiver thing. I think he's either going to be a Pro Bowler this year or he's cut by week 2. And there's just like going to be no in between on that. If he can get his head right and catch the ball and be here with the team and be bought in, potentially steal of the offseason because the guy is a very good wide receiver, could be a great complement to Jerry Jeudy if his head's right. You know what I mean? And if his hands are right. I just think there's no in between. This guy's either going to catch 1,100 yards and, 5 or 6 touchdowns, or we're going to be talking about how he got the boot out of town in week 2 because of a bad attitude. I just don't see any in between here.
Dude, if it's that route of the week 2, I don't think he makes it through training camp then, because obviously the problems are going to start and they're just going to be evident. But, a lot of the rumblings I was reading about from him from last year in the different situations he was in, he wasn't happy with his role in the offenses and whatever that led to. But man, what offense do you have a better opportunity in than the Cleveland Browns? We literally have nobody other than Jerry Jeudy. You can be the wide receiver too and be the main intermediate area target for this team. And that's where Kevin Stefanski wants to work. So you could be that guy. I mean, you're right. If he can get his head right, he could have a big season. It's a lot to hope for, but I do think that's the ceiling.
He could feast in this offense. The guy he's open all the time. I mean, he torched the Browns sometimes. He's so hard to cover. He's a very good wide receiver if his head's in the game. So could either be a fast boot out of here, or we could be talking about a Diontae Johnson Pro Bowl season at the end of the year. There's going to be no in between. He's either gone before week 1 or we're going to be talking about how he's the steal of the offseason come the end of the year, and how we have a great dynamic duo at the wide receiver position.
So I'm hoping for, man. That's what I'm hoping for. Please.
I think that pretty much wraps up Minicamp today. Did I miss anything?
I'm trying to think. Obviously Myles Garrett's back in town, and
he looks like he's in shape, by the way. So everybody who's freaking out that he wasn't at the voluntary stuff last week, I think he seems okay.
I mean, my gosh, anytime that guy has his arms out, I mean, it's like, holy crap, that's not human.
Yeah, that guy is
and
huge,
then the way
man.
he was moving through his drills
towers me.
Man, he's got the speed. You're right. He's been working out. He has not lost a thing.
I've seen Diabates all over the place in camps. I'd like to see. They're really the quarterbacks. I don't know if you noticed, they're practicing those play fakes, man. Those hardcore play fakes. I mean, our running backs look good through their drills, but those are just drills. Right. One thing I'd like to see, I don't know if there's one thing you guys want to see, but this year I'd really like to see, and Blake talks about it all the time, is the defensive tackle collapsing the pocket and creating that pressure. Then Miles, McGuire, Alex Wright, those guys can feast because they're cleaning up the quarterbacks then. I'd really like to see that pressure, at least in this mini camp.
What I kind of like is that I was talking to a guy at work. We don't have any contract issues going on right now. You know what I mean? We got the Miles thing was early in the offseason, but the Browns did a good job of nipping that in the butt and getting it figured out. The Bengals aren't paying Trey Hendrickson, and they won't give their first-round draft pick money.
I know. Neither of them are practicing.
Yeah. You don't know what's going on there. Souring the relationship with you. You just put this guy in the first round, which means he was the first guy on your draft board in terms of where you were, and you had to spend the most time with him. You had to, do the most investigations on him to know him as the person, and to take him in the first round. And then you did all that, took him in the first round, and now you won't just give him what is basically considered a standard first round draft pick at this position. They're pretty much all standard, year after year. This is pretty much the standard, and they won't do it. They're trying to make an example out of their first round draft. This is the guy that what are you doing? What a cheap, terrible franchise. I don't care what anybody wants to say about the Browns. The Bengals are a joke of a franchise. That is so embarrassing that you won't pay this guy. On top of you, not only will you not pay him, but what is basically just a standard rookie contract. You drafted him, what I would assume is to replace the other guy you don't want to pay. And now you don't have either one of them. And then even if you do get Shamar Stewart to sign, he's gone unless you repair this relationship real quick. Why does he want to be here? You know what I mean? It's unbelievable what's going on there. And I mean, it's 0% surprising that it's the Bengals and they're the team doing it. And then in Pittsburgh, TJ Watt not showing up to mandatory minicamp because he wants a new contract. So it's let's just go poach either TJ or Trey Hendrickson at this point if we're the Browns. I think that'd be super funny.
It's Andrew Berry again, though. I mean, sticking it to some of these other teams. I mean, whether you agreed with it or not at the time when they gave Myles Garrett the contract extension, the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history at the time. Look what it's doing to these other teams. TJ Watt, Trey Hendrickson, these other top pass rushers in our division are saying, hey, the Browns just paid this guy. We would like paid as well. And we're creating difficulty and controversy in other organizations by the way we pay our players. And I love it. I think it's awesome.
It's awesome. And I love that we're not having that problem. Like, it seemed like the sky was falling 2 months ago, 3 months ago, however long ago that was. And then we got it figured out. And now, like, we don't have any of those issues. If it wasn't for the Browns' just absolutely brutal schedule, at least the way it sits today, the way it looks, I'd be so optimistic about this year. Like, just based on the rookie talent we added and what we're seeing out of Shedeur and some of these guys, these depth pieces we added in free agency leading up to the draft, I'd feel pretty good entering the season. It's just looking at the paper or the schedule on paper right now just has me like, it doesn't matter. And until we get into some games and I see which teams are going to fall off and which teams are going to ascend this year, because it happens every year, it just looked bleak based off schedule and the last time I saw this team on the field. But I think you guys talked about it, the vibe just feels so much better when you get rid of just like the dead weight in the constant QB controversy. It's just relieving. It just feels lighter and better.
I think they cut some anchors, like I said last episode. I think it's the rookies, including Shedeur, which I just mentioned, and Joe Flacco brings a lot to this team. I think the locker room vets, they respect him, and I heard it when you guys were speaking with Joe Thomas. I'll say it again, like, he spoke like he was a veteran in the locker room, and he was just kind of giving the accolades for Joe Flacco. And it just seemed to me from that point, because I thought it was going to be Kenny Pickett, because he was the first guy they signed. Was in the first in the acquisition cycle of any quarterback, so he's been there the most. But now I just think it's Joe Flacco is going to steady the boat for at least the first 6 games, if not more.
Good. All right. Well, do we want to touch on Rodgers, or we just want to wrap it up?
No, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers real quick, because Myles Garrett had the quote of the day.
Dude, that's such an odd fit for the Steelers, man. Like that, like Aaron Rodgers likes all the control. And if I think of the Steelers, I even think of like Chuck Noll with Terry Bradshaw. Chuck Noll had all the control, Bill Cowher had all the control. Mike Tomlin has all the control. You think of Aaron Rodgers has all the control. Like, I just feel like that's a stick of dynamite waiting to go off, and it's not going to go off well.
To me, it just keeps them right in like I think they'll be a tough out. They're going to be a tough game, just like they are every game, every year. And they're going to win 8 to 9 games. And maybe they'll sneak into the playoffs and lose in the first round, unless he really turns back the clock and bounces back in a big way. But I still don't feel super good about their offensive line. And their wide receiver core, they traded Pickens, and now they got DK, and that's it. DK and Freiermuth. So
it's like our receiver core.
I think he still has enough in the tank, and he's plenty good enough to be good for them. But Russell Wilson was good for them, and they couldn't do anything. Justin Fields played well for them, and they're just stuck in purgatory. They either need to tank, they need to just suck it up and tank and have a bad season, or they need to take the big swing, give up some draft picks and some capital and do something crazy and try to. They're such a safe team. They're that mom and pop shop that's just sitting there, and they're like, we're not gonna expand, we're not gonna open another store because we're just happy where we are. We got a good life, and we're just gonna stay here, and we're not gonna go for it. And that's where they're at. Well, the problem is in sports, the goal is to get to the championship. You know what I mean? And I would rather do like what the Browns did, where it's just brutal for a season or two, but at least we tried. At least we weren't just content and complacent to just sit there and be mediocre. So
do you think he can replicate this? Do you think he can replicate the stat from last year? He was 63% passing, 3,800, almost 3,900 yards, and he was 28 for 11 for a 90.5 passer rating. If he does that, honestly, he'll be 10 wins.
I honestly think he can be better because that's coming off the Achilles. So I think he could. The biggest issue for me is I think the Jets offensively have a better roster. And, so it's like they just drafted Caleb Johnson. We think he's going to be good, but we don't know their offensive line. I'm not in tune with what the Steelers do enough, so I'm sure but their offensive line's not great as far as I know.
No.
They haven't been able to run the ball that well the last few years. Like Najee could get 1,000 yards, but it's on, 2.9 yards per carry. And even their former players have talked about how they didn't know what they were doing on offense. So yeah, I think I just think he can be good, but until they take a big swing, go get an actual offensive mind like Arthur Smith. I just think they're stuck. I just think they're stuck until they decide to take the big swing and try something different.
Or maybe they find a Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round. Who knows?
We'll see. I hope not.
We'll see, because Aaron Rodgers did show up to minicamp today with a wedding ring, so he is now married. Maybe things have changed. Maybe he'll be a little bit different.
No way. I didn't know he was sick. So good for Aaron.
I like that they asked Miles about it. He said, I think it's a good opportunity to put him in the graveyard, meaning the quarterback graveyard that he puts out every Halloween for every quarterback he sacked. He's got a tombstone out there. So yes, let's add Aaron Rodgers and let's put 4 or 5 tally marks on there for every time you got him.
I like that. That's a good way to end it. The graveyard.
I think so.
The graveyard quote. All right. Well, we appreciate you guys being here, hanging out with us. Thank you, Kenny Mack, for stepping in for Justin whenever Justin was on vacation. Again, make sure you guys go check out the T County Browns Backers event Saturday, July 21st, noon to 5 at Wabash Lanes in New Philadelphia. It's going to be a good time. If you want to play fantasy football with us, join thedawgs.com, become a Dog Pack member, jump into the Discord, sign up for the fantasy league so you don't miss out. Let us know what you guys think about the quarterback competition, what's going on, who's the odd man out. Let us know outlook on the season. Just give us your thoughts on the Browns. Leave us some voicemails. We haven't got a ton of voicemails. We like playing them. So it's the Dogs Pack, the dogspodcast.com. Just have to leave voicemail in the drop-down menu. Again, have a good week, and we'll see you guys probably tomorrow. Josh probably has an episode or something. I don't know.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedawgspodcast.com.
This episode is sponsored by Manly Bands. Guys, is your wedding band old, outdated, or just not the same taste you had when you were younger? Or hey, maybe you're about to get married, but you don't want to deal with the salespeople at the jewelry stores. Manly Bands has the best wedding bands made specifically for men. They have the classic timeless gold and white gold styles, but they also have rings made from platinum, black zirconium, tungsten, titanium, even materials like meteorite and dinosaur bone. Yes, your wedding ring could be made from a dinosaur fossil. That is a real thing. They also have different ring collections, like their Jack Daniels rings made from actual Jack Daniels whiskey barrels. They also have Lord of the Rings and DC Comics band collections. Head over to manlybands.com/dogs and take advantage of their 30% off sale with free shipping. Plus, use promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out for another 10% off your order. Now, every Manly Band comes with a free silicone ring, and if you don't know your ring size, that's okay. You can order a free ring size chart from Manly Bands to make sure that you know exactly the right size before you order. And then if you get your ring and it doesn't fit just right, you can always return it or exchange it without any hassle. And I know this because I like my rings to be a little more loose, and the first band that I got was just a little too snug for the way I like to wear it, so I exchanged it, and the whole process was quick, easy, and I had my new ring in no time. And now, Manly Bands is even accessorizing men beyond just your wedding rings with their chain necklaces and chain bracelets made for men by men. And if you need groomsmen gifts or anything else, Manly Bands has you covered with their barware, whiskey glasses, flasks. They even have customized coasters and flight trays. So skip the jewelry stores, avoid the salespeople, and get a wedding band that was designed for you. manlybands.com/dogs to get 30% off, free shipping, plus get an extra 10% off when you use code DAWGS, DAWGS, when you check out.